I think we've all seen by now that Roe versus Wade is going to be overturned. At least that's what it looks like. So what does this mean? Probably going to be one of my less polished videos because I think that information needs to get out ASAP. These are things that you should think about. You really need to take into account what state you live in, what city you live in, what's your neighborhood like, what are the safe areas of the city for you? What was it like in 2020 when things got really bad? Where were the safe zones? Where were the people going out and meeting and doing these mostly peaceful things? This is something that you need to take into account if you are working outside of the home. You want to make sure that you get home safely. You don't want to stick around too long in an urban environment when things are getting bad, especially when large groups have gathered to protest and counter-protest. You want to make sure that you're not caught in the middle of any of that stuff. Do you have an alternate route to get to work? Do you have an alternate route to get home from work? Do you have alternate routes for everyone that lives in your household? Will they be able to make it on foot, by vehicle, by bike, whatever you're using? It also needs to be something that is 100% feasible. On top of these alternate routes, do you have any protection plans? Is it legal to carry where you live? If it's not legal, are you prepared to deal with the ramifications? These are personal risks that you need to take into account when you start looking at these issues. The potential for it to be a mess is there. People are already high on emotion. Everyone is amped up. Hopefully cooler heads prevail and a fight doesn't result. But the possibility is there, and to say that it isn't is to ignore what happened in 2020. We can't keep saying this might not happen. In addition to actively preparing for altered routes, potential safety risks, have you identified who you can speak to in your neighborhood? Who might know what you believe? Who might know your habits? Who might say, so-and-so thinks this way, we don't agree with him, why don't we go and have a little chit-chat with him and see what he thinks now? Stuff like this is very important because people get extremely tribal when emotion is involved. On top of this heightened emotion, what you should be doing is utilizing social media. What do I mean? You need to be looking at Twitter. You need to be looking at IG accounts. Specifically, you need to be looking at the Twitter and IG accounts of your local police and any of those groups that came out in 2020 or any agitator groups. You need to look at those groups, see what they're doing, see where they're planning a demonstration, see where they're planning to gather, and just avoid all of that. You don't want to be there because with every protest, there's going to be a counter protest, and who knows how crazy it's going to be. My priority for you is to make sure that you stay safe, that your family stays safe. So come up with an alternate plan of travel for all of your individuals that live within your household. You need to come up with a protection plan. You need to be able to identify who you can trust, who's around you. Friends, family, neighbors, all of that comes into play. And then you also have to stay informed. You have to go beyond the news. You have to take a look at all the local chatter specifically based around these hot button issues. Not because you want to doom scroll, but because you want to stay informed. You want to know where the safe areas are. You want to know where you can potentially encounter some trouble, and if you just happen to live in one of those zones, you have to be ready to possibly give medical aid if you are trained to do so. This is the reality of the situation. Hopefully nothing happens, but it almost seems like this is done in a cycle on purpose, or it could just be a series of terrible coincidences that are just designed to keep us angry at each other. I'm hoping that cooler heads prevail this time, that we think back to 2020 and we decide this isn't the way. But first and foremost, I want you guys to focus on your safety, the safety of people you care about, and plan. Make sure that you have enough supplies in case you're in an area that was severely affected by people blocking roads. Make sure that you have alternate ways to get out. You need to think about the resources that you have that would have enabled you to not be within the danger zone. So, financial prepping is still part of prepping. It is what it is. And that's why I talk about practical prepping. You need to prep financially. You need to prep not just with stuff that you can buy, but also your knowledge base. You should know how to source information, track groups that are important within your local sphere on social media. You need to be on top of this stuff if this is the kind of stuff you want to be involved in, because if you don't, then you're only taking a few bits and pieces of the puzzle and you'll never complete the whole picture. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks, I guess, and hopefully it all is a bunch of nothing. So until the next video, be good, stay safe, and have a good one.